Hello, everybody. A very, very happy evening. And as you can see, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest with us. Happy to be here on behalf of Pratha in collaboration with Jio Events, as you all know. And we have the extraordinary Mr. Edward Gonzales with us, Program Manager for Culture, People, and Equity at none other than NASA. And with a stellar career, adorned with awards like the NASA Individual Achievement, Director's Award, NASA Silver Achievement Medal. Man, the list is long. I'm gonna pause it right there. And happy to have a wonderful, wonderful guest with us and so much to talk about. So first of all, a very warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much. And I guess our previous viewers or our long-standing viewers have already known you for a while. We have known you for a while, and it's so happy to have you again with a great conversation lined up.
Well, Pratha, thank you for having me. I'm very flattered by your introduction. One of the best introductions I've ever had, so thank you.
Oh my God. So happy to have you. I mean, I can just say we're very glad and grateful, sir. So happy to have people like you. So happy to have valuable insights and interactions with voices like yours. So very excited. All right. And with that, just posting a gentle reminder for our new viewers that Pratha, if you guys do not know, is a distinguished community of speakers, debaters, volunteers, and we love to conduct and collaborate for workshops and sessions and social work initiatives and so much more. And we have certain accolades also in our kitty, like the Indian Asia Book of Records and Government of India Appreciation. And to know more, you can definitely find out. But today, now let's get started with our conversation today. So before that, another interesting update that we love to interact with people. We love to interact with live audience. So today also we're going to come up with, for people who have maximum points on the leaderboard with regards to their interaction in today's live interaction. We would love, to, right? Yes. So we would love that the topmost engagement holders will get gift hampers and certificates. And we'd love to host, the 3 people with maximum engagement. And with that, I guess we are all ready to get started with our conversation today. Okay. So before I start off with the usual questions, I want to know from you, how's life been lately? How about you? What's new? What's interesting? So my question is, very simply put, what's going on?
Thank you. Well, summer, summer's coming to a close. Kids getting ready to go to school. From a work perspective, busy as usual, giving a lot of talks, a lot of them virtual, keynotes, panels, things like that. On a professional note, I was recently appointed to the NASA Advisory Council that reports directly to the administrator of all of NASA. So I didn't expect that, but super excited to be able to be in a room with that type of leadership to share with them the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to potentially work with NASA.
Wonderful. That sounds interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Sure. And I'm curious, for the young, new viewers here, I mean, NASA is a big thing. When we talk about NASA, definitely, it's a very fascinating world to be in. It's a world in its own. So, how did NASA happen? I am curious. This is from my end.
Great question. So Apollo 13, have you seen the movie?
Sorry, which one?
The movie Apollo 13.
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
You need to put that on your list.
Oh.
But the actual mission of Apollo 13, these astronauts were going to the moon, and there was an anomaly. There was something wrong with the vehicle, the launch vehicle. So there was a potential that they weren't going to make it to the moon for sure, but there was a chance they weren't going to make it back home either. So when I was a very young boy, I actually saw this as it was happening on the news. And
Oh.
when the astronauts arrived home safely, I thought, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to help people. And 30 years later, I started my career with NASA.
Whoa.
It took a
Oh my
while,
God.
and it
Uh-huh.
wouldn't have taken as long. Um,
Uh-huh.
my academic was derailed when I was 18. I won't get into that story now, another time, but I
Mm-hmm.
had to go to work full time. I wasn't able to go to school. And in order to work for NASA, you need to, at least have your undergrad, master's or PhD, and
Right.
or experience. So
Uh-huh.
finally, after working in the private sector for many years, I then had the
Right.
experience to get a
Mm-hmm.
position at NASA.
Wonderful. And I'm sure the experience has been wonderful looking at your journey. I was reading a little bit about you, and my God, it's been wonderful, wonderful, hearing about you, knowing you, reading about you, and now finally sitting and talking to you. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. Okay, so with that, let me proceed to the next question that I have in mind right now, which is as a Hispanic American, you have definitely overcome significant barriers to reach the position that you have today, the stature that you have today at NASA. So, what advice would you give to young students who are aspiring to pursue STEM careers, given that only 3.5% of NASA's workforce right now identifies as Asian?
Yeah. So first of all, let me share this with you too. I'm Mexican and I'm also Native American. I'm both.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a dual thing that I had to overcome. Um, but the thing for me, and it was something that my father had taught me at a very young age, is to never give up. If there is
Mm-hmm.
something that you are pursuing and it's something that you want, then you need to work hard for it every day. And also,
Mm-hmm.
too, you need to be aware of opportunities. And I love telling this story. If I was to ask you how many red bicycles that you saw over the past week, you might
Right,
say, I didn't see any, or maybe I saw one.
right.
But if you were trying to buy a red bicycle, I guarantee you, you would tell me next week, oh, I saw
Mm-hmm.
20, I saw 30, right? Because you're looking for that. You're in the market for that.
Right.
Opportunity is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity is flying by you and if you're not paying attention to it, you'll never
Absolutely.
capture it. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to work hard, you have to network, and you have to search for the
Mm-hmm.
answers to get to where you need to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
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 I,
let
I
me let
love
me
that example.
let me ex-
Mm-hmm.
let me expand on that too. And I believe
Please.
that, yeah, I believe that in my culture, and when I say culture, I'm talking about the Latinx and Native American culture, there's quite a
Mm-hmm.
bit of imposter syndrome. There's
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of, I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. And I
Uh-huh.
believe that's why the percentages are low. I'm trying to change that
Uh-huh.
way of thinking to say, if I can do it, you can do it. But you have to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work hard for it, and I'm going to make this happen. So I believe the numbers will change as people can look and identify with me, right? And say, yeah, he looks like me. And if he can overcome that, I can too.
Absolutely. That's such an interesting take. And I love that insight, especially because I have been working with young students for the last 4 to 5 years. So this is what I do for a living, for a profession, so to
Uh,
say. So I do that for a profession. And I love telling people that there is no dearth of opportunities anywhere. And you can as you walk in, as you explore, you can definitely create opportunities. And I love the example that you gave, and definitely love your insight. Thank you so
thank
much for
you.
that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so now let's talk about diversity and inclusion a little bit, because as I was reading, NASA has made quite a stride in diversity, with women making up, around 34% of the workforce, which is a great number to start with. And I'm definitely hopeful that the numbers are going to get even better in the upcoming days. So the representation of women in leadership roles, how about that? Because it
Yeah,
seems a little low from the outside. So is there something going on? How are the initiatives looking like?
yeah. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. So, I want to share two things with you. One, the deputy to the director who I report to, she's female.
Uh-huh.
My boss, who is male, uh, reports to the director of SED. She's female.
Mm-hmm.
Her deputy, female. Our center director for all of Goddard, female.
Mm-hmm.
Her deputy, female. So we are making changes. We are making strides. So there are
Mm-hmm.
plenty of women in leadership at NASA Goddard, and it is starting to sprinkle out throughout the other NASA centers as well. I came from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and
Uh-huh.
the director there, her name is Laura Lee. She's female. Her deputy, who she just
Wonderful.
appointed 3 months ago, female.
Uh,
So all of these numbers are going to shift, and they're already shifting.
Wonderful. So you're surrounded by lady bosses all around, isn't it, Miss Gonzalez? Did
Yes, and let me
I
share
say
this with
that?
you too. This is the second part.
Uh-huh.
So I got married recently in 2020 during the pandemic.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My wife is the president, CEO, and founder of her own tech company, and she does contract work with NASA, right? So again, she's the boss. She's in charge. She's, the CEO is what I call her.
Whoa, I love that term. You're very smart with words and I love it. So witty.
Thank you.
All right. And I love that answer again. And I'm thoroughly enjoying this. So thank you so much for giving us, today's evening for this wonderful, wonderful interaction. And I'm sure it's going to get better with, the upcoming questions. So my next question would be around mentorship, right?
Mm,
We credit a lot to mentorship and guidance. So when it comes to STEM as well, mentorship has been crucial for the success of any group or any community, any society, any age group that we talk about. So how has your mentorship program impacted the careers of the students that have been associated, that you have mentored, and how can anybody or how can young enthusiasts find good mentors? Any tips on that?
yeah, so let me start backwards. So if you're looking
Mhm.
for a mentor, okay, so say, Pratha, I wanted you to mentor me, right?
Right.
What I would do is I would actually Google who you are, and I would look to see what you have done. Maybe you've written some papers, you've written a book, you've written an abstract, you created a poster, you did a TEDx talk, but I'm going to do my research on you. Then when I
Right.
reach out to you on LinkedIn, I'm going to
Uh-huh.
say, would you have time, 15 minutes to chat with me at your
Right.
convenience, right? And
Mhm.
now I would believe that you would enjoy talking about your work. And I'd have questions for you about your work, right? And now
Mhm.
afterwards, hopefully you'll ask me a few questions. What is it that you want to do? And I'd say, I want to
Mhm.
do podcasts. I want to do communications, right? And after you see the passion in my voice and how serious I am, I would say, would you consider mentoring me? I won't take up a lot of your time. Maybe we could meet once a month, once every 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
based on your availability, right? That's how
Right.
I would seek mentors. Now, if somebody is in the aerospace industry or a computer engineer, I would
Mhm.
type in top 10 computer engineers in the world and see what names come up and do the same thing.
Oh.
Find out the
Uh-huh.
type of work that they're doing, papers that
Right.
they've written. So when you reach
Mhm.
out to them on LinkedIn, you're not just saying, I want to connect with you. I'm going to also send them a message to say, I would love to chat with you about your paper.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the start to build your network, start a conversation, and just maybe that person will consider mentoring you. And if he or she doesn't have the time, then go to the next person and the next person. And
Right.
eventually you're going to find a mentor that is already doing what you're trying to do. And they could
Uh-huh.
help you and give you the recipe for success.
Wonderful. That sounds awesome. And there's something that I've observed in the little bit of a conversation that we've had so far is that you operate with such amazing abundance mindset, that the best in the world is available and it is meant for us. And I think I love that. I've loved it so far. So, that was a great insight again.
Thank you.
And now coming to the latter part of the question, which has been your mentorship experience, how has that enriched you and the mentees, of course?
Oh, that's another great question. Thank you for asking that. So as I mentor students and give them, my recipe for success, obviously I tell them you need to tweak things, right? Because the way they solve problems are much different than the way I did when I was their age. But they also mentor me because they're sharing with me their thought process and the way they're going to solve problems. Our future leaders, right? So it educates me too. So being a mentor is not one way, it's a two-way thing.
Whoa, then that's again a very beautiful insight, and that's going to be one of my takeaways from this conversation.
Yeah, I
So,
learned just as much from them as they do from me.
Right. Absolutely. And then, that's the whole spirit of inclusion, isn't it? Having equal participation wherever we are, or whichever conversation or whatever interaction it is, no matter what the purpose, no matter what the age or sincerity or seniority involved, right? So with that, let me also talk a little bit about the MUREP, which is the Minority University Research and Education Project from NASA, which is aiming to increase the participation of underrepresented groups in STEM. So if you can share a little bit about that particular experience, how has that shaped up, and what kind of programs MUREP is offering so far, and what kind of impact it has had?
Yeah, so one of the things, if you want to change the diversity of any workforce, you have to ask yourself, where are you getting these applicants from? So for example, what university did you go to? So do you keep going back to that same university from somebody on the team, or you go to a smaller school, maybe a school that somebody may not have heard of, but there's students that are doing amazing things there. So instead of casting a small net, you're casting a huge net farther, and reaching out to people that you wouldn't normally reach out to, and in underrepresented areas as well. And if you do that, you're going to get somebody that has a different way of solving problems. And that's what diversity is.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more to that. With that, let me take up, I have a few questions from the live audience as well. So we have Richa Sharma, who's asking, what challenges particularly have you observed in, during the whole journey of trying to achieve greater diversity within NASA and STEM field?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is you have people that, there's no nice way to say this, but say there is a older white gentleman, right? Where he might say something like, there's no such thing as white privilege, right? I work just as hard as you do. But here's the problem, okay? The problem is, if I walk into a restaurant, if I walk into a bank, if I walk into a hotel, my experience, because of the color of my skin, is going to be different than them, right? So that's, so it has nothing to do with, you have white privilege and you can do all these amazing things and you have more money. It's not that. I'm not saying that you don't work as hard as I do, right? All I'm saying is that the experience is different.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm reminded of the white man's world, the concept of white man's world and the evidence of experience, as to how we all live in the same world, but then it's not really the same world.
It's not.
Mean, I come from a different privilege and position, and someone else comes from a different privilege and position, and they experience things from their perspective, and I do it from mine. So,
and here's the other thing too, is The moment you start speaking as well, and they hear an accent, they're looking at you like, but here's the thing, and I tell people this, if I see somebody that has an accent that's speaking English, guess what? They can speak two languages. They're very
Right.
smart. They're very intelligent, right?
Right. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's again a very positive and optimistic way of looking at stuff, right?
Yes. But we have to remind ourselves of that. I have many friends that have accents, and I tell them, don't be
Uh-huh.
afraid of that.
Right,
Embrace that because you speak two or three languages. That's amazing.
right, right. And then that is again a sort of a witness to that, that they're trying to make things work, and they're
Yes,
probably trying harder than most of us, isn't it? I mean,
yes,
getting to a different place, understanding a different language, processing emotions in it at times. It is
yes,
something.
it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now that we're talking about all this, again coming to the diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. When it comes to heliophysics, what strategies have been implemented so far, or is there anything in the pipeline to inculcate or foster a more inclusive environment, or to have a better climate? Uh, in that particular aspect, is there something happening? Should we know something?
Yeah. So one of the things, well, there's a few things. One, we sent out a survey. I think it's been 5 years now, and
Mm-hmm.
we saw that feedback. We listened to that feedback. We're about to send out
Right.
another one so we can see how we're doing. Are we doing
Right.
better? Are we listening
Uh-huh.
better? Are we creating a
Uh-huh.
safe environment? Are we making
Mm-hmm.
people feel heard? Are we making people feel appreciated? Are we making sure people aren't burning out? Right? Are we listening to their ideas? Are we not stealing ideas? Are we working as a team? Do we feel
Mm-hmm.
included? So we want to make sure that we check all of those boxes to make sure that people not only come to NASA, but they stay, right?
Right. Absolutely. I love the fact that, how organizations are trying to create a scope of that dialogue from the other end. And
Yes,
as soon as that scope widens and the better that scope becomes, the better and clearer that channel becomes, definitely it's a great sign, isn't it?
yes.
And now coming to your wonderful keynote speeches at all these wonderful universities and conferences, which have inspired lots and lots of students, lots of enthusiasts. Uh, and you seem like a great person to talk to, anyways. So
Thank
what
you.
what have been the what have been the key messages that you've conveyed to encourage Indian students from all around the world, rather, to pursue STEM careers? Uh, how has that been, or what is your particular message, insight, input? What's your secret to success?
There's a couple. So one,
Uh-huh.
accept and learn to handle hard better. It doesn't get easier. If I just
Mhm.
graduate from high school, it'll be easier. If I just get my undergraduate degree, it'll be easy. If I just
Uh-huh.
get the job that I'm looking for, it'll be easy. It never gets easy. We just learn to handle hard better. And if you can
Mhm.
learn to do that, then you will be successful. Never let anybody outwork you and
Mhm.
make a plan. Because if you don't make a plan, the earth will make a plan for you and you may not like it. And what I mean by that is you don't make a plan, you end up working somewhere that you don't care about, and you wake up in the morning and you don't want to go. It's
Right.
because you didn't make a plan. But if you
Mhm.
say, this is what I would enjoy doing, such as what you're doing, you obviously love what you do, but you made that plan and you made it happen, right?
Mhm.
If you didn't and you were like, well, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, you might be
Right.
at a job somewhere that you hate, right? So you have to make a plan and you have to follow it every day.
Whoa, make a plan and make it your own and stick to it, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And now that we're talking about this, I have another very interesting question. So we have Richa Sharma who's asking, can you share any success stories of individuals from underrepresented backgrounds who have benefited from NASA's outreach programs?
Oh man, there's so many. There's various students that I have met over the years, in
Mm-hmm.
outreach opportunities that are now
Mm-hmm.
working for the agency. So, and
Mm-hmm.
also too, that are not working for the agency. They're working at SpaceX or Blue Origin or Lockheed or Boeing or any of these aerospace companies. So again, next week there is one of my mentees is going to defend his dissertation, and he
Uh-huh.
reached out to me and said, you know, you're part of the people that I want to thank because I didn't believe in myself, and I heard your talk, and now I'm getting ready to get my PhD. So there's
Oh,
so many stories.
wow. And again, thank you so much on behalf of those wonderful people who have felt inspired through you, through your words, through your work. And I'm sure there's many more to come, many more to be added to that list.
Thank you.
All right. So now let's talk about where you're currently working at, which is NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, which has again a very diverse workforce with employees from over 100 countries. So how is that environment like? How's that multicultural climate, and how is it influencing you? How is it helping you? And what lessons can people or professionals learn from that kind of an environment and experience?
Yeah, I think the number one takeaway is going to be how different people from different
Mm-hmm.
countries solve different problems, and working as a team collectively of all of these different people from all these different backgrounds solving common problems but doing it differently. That's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that, right? So
Right.
as we continue to do that, we'll be able to solve more problems and successfully finish a lot of the missions that we're doing.
Great. Happy to hear that. And I must highlight it here. I'm reading all these comments that have been pouring in. How much people are enjoying this, how
Excellent.
wonderful they're finding your thoughts, how interesting and fascinating are your inputs. And that's one from my end.
Excellent.
All right. So with this, we move on to our next question, which is, since you're an esteemed panelist, moderator, speaker at national level STEM conferences and events, so you are definitely one of those voices, one of those advocates for diversity and inclusion globally. People look at you as one of the wonderful voices that we have. So any particular or any unique challenges that are faced by Asian students in the STEM field, and how can they be helped in this particular aspect? Any particular challenges that they are facing?
Um, that's a good question. For me, if I'm going to talk intelligently about something, I'm going to do my
Hmm.
research, and
Right.
I'm going to go over it over and over again so I can talk about it intelligently. And I
Uh-huh.
encourage people to do the same thing. I'm often asked to be a speaker on many different topics. So if I'm
Hmm.
not a quote unquote SME or a subject matter expert on a particular
Hmm.
thing, I'm going to
Hmm.
immerse myself in that particular subject. And also,
Right.
too, there's a lot of experts out there that I can reach out to and ask them questions and gain their advice. And I have plenty of mentors that I can go to as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, a wonderful takeaway for anyone and everyone who's listening to this conversation. And with this, I move on to my next question, which is about your recent promotion to program manager for culture, people, and equity at NASA. And again, congratulations. I'm
Thank you.
sure you're definitely heading towards even bigger and better positions. So I want to ask, what are your goals? What's next for Mr. Gonzalez? And how is this new role shaping up? And how is NASA ensuring that it continues to foster and inculcate leaders like you for creating an inclusive workspace for everyone around?
Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning of our talk, I was
Right.
recently promoted to the NASA Advisory Council, and
Uh,
from a diversity standpoint, I think that I'll be able to bring a different point of view to them.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Mm-hmm.
everybody to be culturally aware, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is important, and remind people to bring your authentic self, to be who
Right.
you are. Even,
Uh,
myself, you see me in my hat and my necklace, right? Because this is who I identify with. I don't want somebody to turn me into somebody that I'm not. This is
right.
who I am. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I promote in my new position of
Mm-hmm.
culture is to
Mm-hmm.
hold on to your culture. Don't lose
Mm-hmm.
that. It's very, very important to hold on to your heritage and the things that you're proud of.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And I am a little curious at this point in time. People know you as a leader, people know you as a thinker, people know you as somebody who's doing great job at NASA. But how do you see yourself as a people manager or a program manager? How do you see yourself, or what do you think is your USP when it comes to people management?
I think the best takeaway of that is that I see different leaders and I see people hesitant to approach them, whether they're
Mm-hmm.
intimidated or
Right.
they're not sure if they can ask a question. And I think
Mm-hmm.
for me in my role is that I have shown people that I am approachable. You can come to my office at any time. You can reach out to me. I'm going to respond and I'm going to try to give you the best advice that I can.
Wonderful. And I think Pratha can vouch for that particular aspect. I mean, you've been wonderful through all of these years, extremely welcoming, very, very approachable, and very considerate. So thank you so much again for being the person that you are.
Thank you.
And now, again, out of my own curiosity, I'm going to ask you something else as well. So, a few years back, I had a wonderful chat with a physics professor at in India, right? And I love asking this to people who are into research, who are into especially space research, that we have all these religious theories as to how to look at the world, and we have religious and cultural beliefs and theories as to how the world is being run, or how did it start, or how did it begin, right? How it came into existence. So, uh, has there ever been a point? I mean, how do you differentiate your work from your beliefs, your cultural beliefs, or your faith or religion? How do you do that?
Thank you. That's a great question as well. The number one thing that I tell people is, whatever your faith is, whoever you pray to,
Uh-huh.
whoever, whatever book you're reading, right?
Right.
Embrace that and follow that.
Mhm.
For me, it's science, and science doesn't lie. You can't argue with science, right?
Mhm.
So, and
Mhm.
for me also too, I can hope or pray for something or try to manifest something, but I have to
Right.
work for it as well. Every day,
Uh-huh.
I've got to work for that. So
Right.
that's how I feel about that.
All right. And with that, my last question, which is going to be, what are your thoughts about the ultimate creator? Like, how do you look at energy? How do you look at the creator? What are your views on God? If I can ask you that.
Yeah, my view is always this. Again, there are different religions throughout the entire world. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that one is better than the other. It's up to the
Right.
individual person. So
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
me, I grant you positive energy. I want to send you positive energy. I want to send
Mm-hmm.
positive energy to everybody. And then
Right.
they themselves individually can decide
Uh-huh.
who they want to pray
Right.
and spend time with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that enriching answer. And must say, I've thoroughly enjoyed the whole conversation and loved your insights and responses. So, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for spending this particular evening with us, agreeing to have this conversation. And any last few suggestions, or any last few, words of wisdom for our young viewers?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I had mentioned earlier, and that is learn to handle hard better. And if you can master that, you're going to be perfectly fine and you're going to be successful. And network, get out there and meet people. And it's tough sometimes. If you have a problem with meeting people, get somebody that is very comfortable doing that. right? And
Mm-hmm.
ask them to help you. Learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Whoa, learn to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. I love that. I'm going
Yes.
to write it down somewhere probably. I love that. Thank you so much, Mr. Gonzalez. It was an absolute pleasure and privilege being with you here and talking about all these wonderful things. And
Thank
with
you.
that, thank you so much. And with that, let's move on to another interesting bit where we're going to conclude today's conversation. Can we please have our leaderboard being presented and the top 3 people with the most engagement throughout the session? Could we have that, please? Let's see. Okay, and here we have, so the number 1 position we have Muskan Verma, and then we have on number 2 position we have Richa Sharma, and on the number 3 position we have Suryakant. So congratulations to all the winners, and thank you so much to all the people who were listening and to the ones who are going to listen to this conversation. Well, I loved it, and I'm sure you're going to love it too. And thank you so much, and congratulations to the winners once again. And with this, we come to the end of our conversation here today. I wish, we had more things to talk about, but thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for wonderful, wonderful insights. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Mr. Gonzalez. We love this. Thank you. Thank you again. And
Thank you.
to all our viewers as well, wish you a happy, happy Sunday ahead and have a great weekend. And I
Thank you.
hope you all found it valuable and interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.